Rating every Premier League club's transfer window out of 10, Premier League clubs spent over £3 billion on transfers this summer transfer window alone. That is at least 3 times more than any other league. So we are going to analyze how well your club spent that money and in general, how good their transfer window was in 3 main criteria. First of all, how they address their squad issues. Secondly, value for money spent. Third, net spend, that is profit made from player sales versus the expenditure. So we will get an average of these 3 criteria, and from that we'll give you over 10. So watch this video now. Before we get into the video, make sure you like this video now, subscribe and share. It means a lot to the channel. We are pushing to 50,000 subscribers and want to get to 100,000 subscribers before this year ends. So time is running out, so please like the video now, subscribe and share. And comment your favorite club now in the comment section. And tell me who you think won this transfer window. Let's talk about all the clubs. Let's start immediately. Rating Chelsea's transfer window out of 10. So Chelsea had a couple of areas they had to fulfill this transfer window. First of all, Chelsea, you will still confess, you will still tell us the jazz you are using. How were you able to get 16.5 million euros for Jackson on a loan deal? How were you able to sell Madueke for 56 million euros? How were you able to sell Nkunku for 37 million euros? How were you able to sell Felix for 30 million euros? Chelsea is the only club in the entire Premier League, I think maybe the only club in the entire world, that made more money than they spent. Like, they had 4 million euros in profit from this transfer window with all the players they signed. It's insane. You already know for the net spend criteria, that is the third criteria, Chelsea gets a 10 out of 10. When it comes to profits from player sales versus their expenditure, Chelsea is number 1, 10 out of 10. No argument. Now, when it comes to addressing their squad issues, Chelsea needed a striker. They were crying for a striker. They couldn't do with Jackson anymore. Jackson Nkunku, that thing wasn't working out anymore. They needed a new person. They went to get Liam Delap from Ipswich, a very promising striker who did well in a club that was barely fed chances. And secondly, Joao Pedro, a striker that Newcastle wanted. But Chelsea went there, snatched him up, and this guy hit the ground running. Right from the Club World Cup to then the friendlies, and then the Premier League season, this guy has arguably been their best player within this time. What a signing. He looks like the man that's going to break that number 9 course, that striker course at Chelsea. So based on Joao Pedro, they have more than addressed this striker issue. In fact, it has been an insane upgrade. This guy doesn't want to allow us rest. What a signing Joao Pedro has been. They also had some winger issues, creative and backup wingers. Now, Chelsea signed Gittins, Garnacho. Which other winger did they sign? I think they signed Facundo Bonanote. I don't think there's really any other person. So these are the guys. Estevao came in. But Estevao was really signed last season and he just came in this season. But we can consider Estevao for the sake of this video. In terms of their creative backup, that is backup for Palmer. I think Estevao has really shown his importance so far at the start of the season. Imagine if Estevao wasn't in this squad. Chelsea would have really suffered in that aspect. I think them not getting Xavi Simons was a big loss. I feel they really needed him. He's a mature player and a Netherlands international. I think them missing out on him to Spurs was really bad because he could also play left winger. The thing with Gittins and Garnacho is that they are decent players, but are they at that level yet? I think these are 2 players that we have to wait and see. While someone like Joao Pedro already know what he's all about. So for me, from that perspective, I don't really think that they did insanely well from the board. I think they could have done better. Xavi Simons would have made this aspect perfect. Now, Chelsea also needed a backup for Cucurella. For many years, Cucurella has not had the backup. So a backup had to come in for Cucurella. They did very well in that aspect. A backup for Caicedo also. They signed Esugo. Backup for Cucurella, they got in Hato. Goalkeeping issues, for me, Chelsea failed this one woefully. I think Chelsea actually forgot how bad Sanchez was. And I always say this without mincing words. I don't think Robert Sanchez is at that high level for Chelsea, and I think there was a market opportunity with Donnarumma. Sanchez has already shown himself this season. I think going to get a quadruple winner, a European champion, somebody that has won a European champion with both PSG and his country, Italy. an absolute monster in penalty shootouts, I think Donnarumma would have been a massive upgrade. So I feel Chelsea missing out on that opportunity was bad to me. I don't know how they got so comfortable with what's his name, Robert Sanchez. And I feel Cole tearing his ACL should have triggered them to get another left-sided centre back. But I do think they have many centre backs on their books already. For Fana, what is going on with his situation? Choloba. Who am I missing out? There's Achumepong. There's this other guy that starts currently. Tosin Adebayo. And I think Hato can also play there. So I think Chelsea was trying to be conservative in that aspect. But then, when it comes to addressing their squad issues, Chelsea did very well in the striker issue, the backup for Kukurea and Caicedo. The goalkeeping issues, I don't think they did well. Winger issues, Estevao has come in and done well so far, but do you really want to solely rely on a teenager? I don't really know about that. So from that aspect, in this particular criteria, I'll give Chelsea for me a 7 out of 10, and I think that is massively because of what's his name, Joao Pedro. That's Joao Pedro really boosted Chelsea in that aspect. Now, value for money spent, Joao Pedro for what's that, 63 million euros. I mean, justified so far. 56 million euros for Gittins. We have to wait and see. 46 million euros for Garnacho. They can look like absolute geniuses for this. I think it's a decent fee. Hato for 44 million euros, good fee as well. This is a player that Liverpool was also interested in, and he was rated highly in Europe, so it's a good competitive fee. 35 million euros for Delap, very good fee. Estevao for 34 million euros, a young wonder kid from South America, that is Brazil, very good fee for me. And Esugo for 22 million euros. What I've seen so far is this guy is basically Caicedo's younger brother. So for me, as a backup, very, very good. Chelsea in all competitions already played the Club World Cup. I think this is a very, very good fee. And Paez, I have to wait and see from him. Buonanotte, loan fee of 2.3 million euros. I think you have an obligation to buy, so he's basically a Chelsea player. So, all in all, I think squad addressing issues, I'll give Chelsea let's quickly calculate that. Let's get Chelsea's average. I think squad issues, I think Chelsea addressed their squad issues. I'll give them, I don't want to be harsh here, but for me, a 7 out of 10. The goalkeeping issues were not really done. Cole tearing his ACL and not finishing Simons, that's a 7 out of 10 for me. Value for money spent, I think so far, so good. I'll give them a 8.5 out of 10. Yes, 8.5 out of 10. Then expenditure, that is profit versus loss. This one is 1 now. This one is 1. This one is 1. This one is 1. This one is 1. There's no argument. This one is 1. So all in all, I think Chelsea's transfer window, all in all, I'm rating them 8.5 out of 10. That is right. If I did the averages right, I just hope I didn't get it wrong. But I'm rating Chelsea an 8.5 out of 10. That is how well I think Chelsea did in this transfer window. Before I move on to the other clubs, make sure you shop at the Adcastic store. Go to adcastic.store right now. Message us on WhatsApp with this phone number above where you can get the Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, any club at all. You can get any jersey there. Just go to the Adcastic store and shop now. Delivery is worldwide. Go and shop now. Moving on to Arsenal. Arsenal Football Club, I asked this question. Rating Arsenal's transfer window out of 10. Arsenal, I have a question to ask you first of all. Where did you discover oil in this Emirates? Because it looks like Arsenal dug up gold in their stadium. With the way they spent money in this transfer window, with the way they signed every problem they wanted to, I think they addressed every single problem. I feel Arsenal had an absolutely amazing transfer window. So let's go to the first criteria, addressing squad issues. Arsenal needed a striker. Gyökeres has come in. They had Kai Havertz, who I think might be better for big games in terms of, I think Kai Havertz with his back to goal and disturbing centre-backs in general, I think he's better for Arsenal in that aspect. But in terms of being a cold finisher, a silencer, a killer, that is Victor Gyökeres. That is who Victor Gyökeres is. And I feel that they did absolutely well in that aspect. I mean, you cannot fault them. They went for a striker that has a crazy track record. Now, they had winger and creative issues, yes. They needed a backup for Bukayo Saka, which I think Madueke can end up being. And winger issues is that their left wing. Um, Martinelli is not good enough, man. Trossard, I also think is not up to that level. So Eze coming in is going to help with that winger and creative issues. They needed Eze. The creative issues were there. That was one of Arsenal's biggest problems. Those creative issues. And I feel that they addressed that this transfer window with Eze. I don't think who could they have gotten that would have been better? Genuinely, who could they have gotten? They got a Premier League proven player that is in his prime. I feel Arsenal did very, very well in that aspect. And from the little glimpse you saw of Eze against Liverpool, I mean, he looked absolutely sharp. So from there, they did very, very well. They needed to replace and upgrade on Thomas Partey, which I think they did well with Zubimendi, a player that was wanted by Bayern Munich and many other clubs, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona. I think they did very, very well in that aspect. The goalkeeping, they needed the backup goalkeeper. They got Arrizabalaga. They needed the backup for Saka. I've always said they got Madueke. And that left winger issue was where I think they really failed in terms of addressing squad issues. But if you look at their signings, Zubimendi, Gyökeres, Madueke, Mosquera, also a backup centre back, because last season we saw Gabriel get injured, and I've already seen Saliba come get injured, and because I'm sure it's because Liverpool beat Arsenal, but he didn't get enough praise. Mosquera was absolutely amazing, an absolutely amazing signing, Mosquera. So I do think that Arsenal did very, very well in the transfer window. So in terms of addressing squad issues, they addressed their striker issue, they addressed their creative issue. The only issue that I know that they didn't address well was their left winger issue. So for that reason, I'll give Arsenal a 9 out of 10 when it comes to addressing squad issues. Next, value for money spent. Zubimendi, they spent 70 million euros, which I think is fair, a competitive fee. Eze for 69.3 million euros, very, very okay fee. Gyökeres for 65 million euros, fair. Madueke for 56 million euros. This is what will bring Arsenal's rating down. I will never ever support paying your direct rivals this amount of money for a player they didn't want anymore. Never. Never ever. 50 million euros for Mosquera. That's an absolute steal. That's a bargain. Who else? Norgard, a backup. Do you see? They even got backup for Zubimendi too. So they did very well. And Hincapié on a loan deal to be completed for about maybe 60 million euros, I think, eventually when they want to sign him. But it's a loan deal. So in terms of value for money spent, also, I think if not for Madueke, I would have given Arsenal a 10 out of 10. But so far, I'll give them a 9 out of 10 as well. And net spend, that is profit. How much you actually got from player sales versus the expenditure. Player sales, Arsenal were only able to sell Nuno Tavares for 5 million euros, Marquinhos for 3 million euros, and they got a loan fee of 2 million euros. So for player sales, Arsenal were only able to raise 10 million euros, which is very bad, and which leaves them with the highest net spend in the Premier League, although Liverpool spent the most money ever in any transfer window. So in this aspect, I think Arsenal did very bad. Arsenal has never been a selling club, and I think they need to learn how to do that. I think if they sold Martinelli this transfer window, it would have been very, very good, because I think Arsenal have moved past the need of Martinelli. So for that reason, player sales, honestly, Arsenal did very bad in this aspect. Very, very bad. 10 million euros in comparison to what the other clubs raised. Even Man United, that is bad at selling, also raised more. I'll give Arsenal, man. Maybe because they didn't have much players to sell, but honestly, I'll give them a 5 out of 10. Is that harsh? Just for player sales, is that harsh? I don't know if that's harsh, guys, but honestly, that's what I think. So 9 plus 5. 9 plus 5, yes. 9 plus 5 divided by 3. I think that's about 7.6 or something. So let's round it off. An 8 out of 10, honestly. I know they didn't spend well, but an 8 out of 10. And honestly, what brought it down, I'd have given them a 10 out of 10 if they had a good net spend. So that's what brought Arsenal down. Make sure you also shop for the Arsenal jersey at the Adidas Steak Store. I've told you guys you can get any jersey there right now. Go and shop at the Adidas Steak Store for any jersey you need. So moving on quickly, I hope I didn't miss anything, but in general, Arsenal fans, honestly, you guys had an amazing um, transfer window. Moving on, rating Liverpool Football Club's transfer window out of 10. Wow. 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 League champions, building the way Liverpool built. Have you ever seen this thing in the entire history of football? Has this ever happened? That a team won the league and did what Liverpool did. It's not that they were rebuilding, no. They were building on what was already there. They were getting better. Honestly, I feel Liverpool had an unbelievable transfer window. And let's quickly get into it. Let's analyze all the criteria for Liverpool. Addressing squad issues. Wow. Liverpool had a striker issue. Darwin Núñez couldn't do it anymore. Luis Diaz as a false nine couldn't do it anymore. I know today, if you saw the tweet earlier by Mo Salah, one Liverpool page tweeted what an upgrade that is going from Diaz and Núñez, who were wearing the 7 and 9 respectively, to Vets and Isak, who now wear the 7 and 9 respectively. And Salah was like, and why not just appreciate these new great signings instead of like hating on the Premier League champions? And I was like, now who they catch me thief? Mohamed Salah, all of us, any Liverpool fan out there doing self-righteous, all of us are happy that Núñez is gone. Make I know why you, my brother. Now who they catch me thief? It seems like they cut. Unless all of us, Liverpool fans, all of us are happy. Let's not lie to ourselves, Jare. Salah, go vex. But yeah, getting into his Liverpool, I think they honestly, I never expected this. Striker problems. You went for the best striker in the market. That was the best striker you could sign. You cannot sign Erling Haaland. Isak is the best striker you can sign in the world. In the world of football. He's a top 3 striker. For me, last season in the Premier League, he was the best striker. You have Mohamed Salah now and Isak, the top 2 Premier League strikers of last season. Sorry, top 2 Premier League goal scorers of last season. Now playing at one club. Come on. For you to go and break the British transfer record twice, that shows a serious level of seriousness. What? Striker position. The addressing from this, could it be better? It didn't stop there. Ekitike is still there. One of the hottest prospects. Like, from what we have seen from him in these first 4 games for Liverpool, he's a problem. A problem and a half. So for you had, imagine your striker options going from God rest his soul. God rest his soul. But unfortunately, we had to get 2 strikers. Ekitike had to come in for Jota as the backup and also Isak for Núñez. So, in that aspect, unbelievable. Left back, Robertson and Tsimikas, please, it couldn't happen again. Robertson is by far past his best. Kerkez, one of the best left backs in the Premier League last season, and we have already seen it. Young, athletic, quick, energetic, technical. What an address. Right back, we lost our right back. He made his move. And we needed to get a right back in because we needed somebody to compete with Conor Bradley for positions. Frimpong has come in and he has looked very good anytime he played. In fact, Szoboszlai has shown that he can play there as well. Centre back cover. This is where I think Liverpool failed. Gehi coming in would have been a massive upgrade, to our backup options. But Leone also from, where do we sign Leone from again? Leone from Parma, That was a good signing because he's touted to one of the best centre backs in the world, in a few years. But he's just 18, so we cannot rely on him. This is the only aspect I think Liverpool failed. We needed a creative midfield. Our creativity was low many times in games. We didn't have those players that could pass through the lines. Those players that are comfortable receiving the ball in between the lines. That is who Florian Wirtz has come to be. And I know many of you have many opinions on him right now. I'm telling you, there's no world Florian Wirtz flops. Liverpool went outside this transfer window and went for the absolute best. A back-to-back Bundesliga player of the season. German footballer of the year. Can he get better than that? Can we Liverpool fans ask for more? No. So honestly, even though they didn't address the centre-back issues, which I think they actually did, because getting Leone, we don't know how good Leone might be. Gomez also showed, coming off the bench for Konate, that this guy can still hang. I think the only thing that left a sour taste in Liverpool fan mass is that it was basically like he was already in our hands and he was just taken away from us all of a sudden. So it was painful from that aspect. So Maguire not being there is actually very, very painful. But we don't know. We don't know what to expect. I also wanted a midfielder too, maybe somebody that can compete with Gravenberch or even be a backup for Gravenberch. But from what I've seen from Gravenberch, that brother does not need competition. Nobody can even compete with him. That's our starting defensive midfielder. So honestly, for me, in terms of addressing squad issues, Liverpool outdid themselves. I mean, going out to spend this amount of money is just insane. I think it's a 10 out of 10 in that aspect. Value for money spent. Alexander Isak. In a market where players like, I love him, Ketike, is being bought for 95 million euros. What's his name? Sesko, 85 million euros. Who are the other players? Many crazy buyings were happening in terms of the striker market. But we know how crazy the market is. Players are being bought for ridiculous fees. So there was no way that Alexander Isak, being at a club as rich as Newcastle, will get sold for anything less than a British transfer record. So I'm very okay with his fee. Florian Wirtz also wanted by Man City, wanted by Bayern Munich. There was no way we are not going to pay this money. So 160 million pounds for Florian Wirtz, very, very okay if you ask me. In terms of the people that are competing for him for the player, I know some of you now are looking at what he has done so far in the league and saying, well, he's not wanting now. Come back to this video at the end of the season. Your eye go see. Ekitike was the one I was not. Ekitike's price was the one I was like the most worried about, and so far it's looking so good. But it's just the market we're in. 95 million euros. Honestly, I think it was a little bit over the top. That is just my opinion. Kekes for 46 million euros, very okay. Frimpong 40 million euros, okay. 31 million euros for Leone. I mean, these are very good fees. And Preston, we got Freddie Woodman from Preston for free. So in terms of value for money spent, I'll give Liverpool an 8 out of 10. Yes, an 8 out of 10 in that aspect. Net spend, how much did they get from player sales? Wow. How did Liverpool manage to sell a 28-year-old Luis Diaz for 70 million euros to Bayern Munich? How? A player with how many? Was he not just left with 2 years on his contract and got 70 million euros for him? Insane. That is absolutely unbelievable. Liverpool outdid themselves. Nunes has come to Liverpool, flopped. He didn't reach our expectations as well. And the whole world has sealed this. The whole world has seen this. And we still managed to get 53 million euros for him. That is an insane pull from Liverpool. We got 35 million euros for Konsa, a 22-year-old centre-back that was barely playing for us. He did, feature in past last season, but you know what I mean. Ben Doku got 23 million euros for him. Keller, 14 million euros for him. That's the only player that I would have said we could have got him more. But I mean, in player sales, Liverpool raised 219 million euros in player sales. And in total, that means we only spent 263 million euros in this transfer window. And this is a club that didn't spend any money in the last transfer window. So this is insane from Liverpool whilst winning the league. So honestly, in this aspect, another 10 over 10 for Liverpool. This is only Chelsea outdid us in terms of raising money, and that is insane for the fact that many of these players, Luis Diaz, especially Darwin Núñez, somebody that was not wanted in the squad. Even look at Trent Alexander-Arnold. We raised 10 million euros for him. He was basically supposed to live on a free contract, but Madrid wanted him sooner, and we were able to get in a fee for him, which is insane. So Liverpool, I'm giving them a 10 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, and a 10 out of 10 for me. So that is Liverpool's transfer window is basically a 9.3 out of 10, or let's just, approximate to 9 out of 10, yes. The only thing that really brought down this thing for me was the fact that we didn't get Gehi over the line. And, nothing else really. But yes, this is Liverpool's transfer window for me, and honestly, one of the greatest transfer windows I've witnessed, and it is just a blessing. People don't understand what this transfer window means to Liverpool fans. When FSG bought our club, Liverpool was basically on the brink of administration. What does administration mean? You are losing your club. You are going bankrupt. FSG came in, and after so many years, we can finally have this moment. Liverpool was a club that once had the front three of, what was their name? Lambert, Balotelli, signing players like Borini, Charlie Adams, what's this guy? Andy Carroll. The likes of these players. These are the signings that we used to get in. It was a sad time at the club. Liverpool fans will go to football house, will go to viewing center. They will never put Liverpool match. So if you're a Liverpool fan, a Nigerian Liverpool fan especially, you deserve this. You know, globally, Liverpool is one of the biggest clubs in the world. Like, they are up there with the best of the world. But as a Nigerian, we all know this, that as a Liverpool Nigerian fan, the things that you suffered. Ah. Nigerian Liverpool fans are some of the fewest fans that you cannot even say, you're a glory hunter. You understand what I mean? So honestly, for us to now have these moments where we can spend money like this, nobody can ever make me feel guilty because I suffered and I know what I suffered. I know what I've been through. And we deserve this moment. And I'm proud to be part of this moment. And I thank the club very, very much. I thank everybody from, what's his name? What's the name of our owner? What's the name of this man? John F. Henry. I was once FSG out, but honestly, he has changed my life. I can't lie. Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, everybody at the top of the club. Thank you very much. We didn't. But make sure you shop for the Liverpool jersey now at the Adidas Take store as we move on. If you have not liked the video, you have not subscribed, you have not shared, what are you waiting for? Moving on. Rating Manchester United's transfer window out of 10. Things are getting interesting right now. Manchester United, wow. I think they had a decent transfer window. For a club that finished 15th position, Manchester United, you can lie. Where did all this money come from? Where did it come from? You know, we are looking at it and now and we're saying, okay, they didn't get this player, they didn't get that player. But if you finish 15th position, you are basically getting little to no income from the Premier League. Yes, you have, you know, your income for being in the league and stuff like that, but you don't have European income. You don't have income for being in the Champions League. You don't get all this stuff that you'd have gotten maybe if you won the Europa League prize money and then qualifying for the Champions League. But they still went on to address many pivotal positions. Manchester United, in terms of addressing squad issues, what was the main issues? They had a striker issue. Højlund came in, flopped. That was not working out. They also had, in general, a goals issue. Manchester United were not scoring goals. The goals were not coming in. What did they go and do? Mbeumo, 20 Premier League goals. What's his name? Cunha, 15 Premier League goals. Sesko, I think about 13 goals in the Bundesliga or something like that. So, like that already, they have added like 50 goals to the squad. They had a big goal issue and they went for mainly Premier League proven players. Who, for me, in terms of like all the games combined in the Premier League, Cunha especially has looked sharp, but Mbeumo in that game versus Burnley looked very, very sharp. And Sesko, we have not seen anything from him. We have not seen much from him, so we cannot even really judge him. It has been off the bench. You understand? So, striker issue, I think, potentially can be an upgrade. He has to be an upgrade from Højlund and Azikiwe. So, very, very good in that aspect. Manchester United did absolutely well. Goalkeeping issue. Honestly, I don't think you can be worse than Bayende and Onana. So, Lamens is meant to come in and do well. I don't know anything about the keeper. I've never watched him. I've never seen him. But the scouts have obviously seen him, and I'm hearing that he is De Gea's young son. He's a De Gea region, you know. So for you to be getting that kind of praise, you know how good Prime De Gea was at Manchester United. Many of you might have met the old De Gea that was making mistakes and doing stuff like that. No. Prime De Gea, oh my goodness, the wall. Prime De Gea was breaking records for most saves in a Premier League game. So you know how good that guy is. That guy was absolutely goated. So if he can be anything like Prime De Gea, that is what Manchester United needs currently in their squad. So in terms of addressing the goalkeeping issue, I think they did very well in that aspect too. Midfielder issue, they failed. It was really disappointing because in this Ruben Amorim system, it has shown that so far, Ugarte cannot cut it. Casemiro, who has actually been decent this season, but honestly cannot cut it in the long term. He's past his best. Bruno Fernandes is not comfortable in that double pivot. He doesn't trust Kobe Mino. So, I think these are the only four midfielders that Manchester United has. Or which other midfielder? Okay, Mason Mount. Well, I think Amorim loves, and giving him a chance is also getting him better. I think Mason Mount has gotten progressively better after every game. But in terms of that midfielder that will just sit down in that midfield, be dynamic box to box, in terms of interceptions, ball carrying, Baliba, that was the signing that if Manchester United got it, they might have even been the winners of the transfer window. That would have been the jewel in the crown. That would have been I don't know how to describe how good Carlos Baliba would have been, but Brighton said they were not interested in selling the transfer window. And Manchester United might go back in January. Or they might even just go back in the next summer, which I think that they will actually be able to get Carlos Baliba. So I think they failed woefully in that aspect. I think they could have done better. Now, moving on to in terms of, okay, let's rate that their squad addressing issues. They addressed the striker issue, the goals that they needed, the goalkeeping issue. They got another left back in Diego Leon, who is a young left back that we have not seen. He's 18 years old, so cannot really, rely on him. So, midfielder issue, which I think was even their biggest issue after goals and goalkeeper. So, I'm giving Manchester United an 8 out of 10. Yes, that midfielder issue was such a massive issue that I don't think they should have neglected it. Value for money spent. Sesko for 76 million euros. This is the only one that will raise eyebrows. Mbuemu for 75 million euros. Premier League proven. The market is crazy. Yes, many of you, when it happened, they were saying it was overpriced. But honestly, the market is crazy. What do you expect now these days? The signings. Cunha for 74.2 million euros. Premier League proven player again. Lamens for 21 million euros. Fair. Diego Leon for 4 million euros. Can you even complain about that? So, all in all, value for money spent, I think Manchester United, they got an 8 out of 10. Or getting to Premier League proven players to improve your goals is actually good enough. 8.5 Man United. Collect 0.5, you try. Then net spend, that's how much they got from player sales. So they got 46 million euros from Garnacho, which I think is a player that they didn't want anymore. And they got him for almost nothing. They signed him from Atletico de Madrid Academy, I think. Anthony for 22 million euros. Anthony's, when you put context, he kind of looks terrible. He signed him for 95 million euros and he's going for 22 million euros. But, he's a player that has flopped and didn't want him anymore. So, maybe Chelsea would have gotten like 40 million euros for him. I can't lie. Chelsea, they have jazz that used to sell players. They got a low fee of 6 million euros for Rasmus Højlund. But in terms of clearing up their squad, they were able to get rid of Marcus Rashford, although he's on loan. Sancho, although it was on loan. And so many other players, which I think is very, very important for Manchester United. So, in terms of net spend, that is profit made. They're slightly better than Arsenal, so I'll give them a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. So, Manchester United, your scores are, I think, 8 out of 10, right? 8 out of 10 plus 8.5 plus, what did I give them here again? 7 divided by 3. That's 7.83 out of 10. So, let's just give Manchester United, for this transfer window, a 7.8 out of 10. I'll not give you 8 out of 10. No, it's a lie. So, Manchester United actually performed decently well in this transfer window. They performed decently well in this transfer window. As I said, for a club that finished 15, this is a very, very interesting transfer window. And honestly, what this video I'm making is just like speculation. I've not seen how well this player would do. I've not seen how well these players fit into their squads. So with how well they will do, that's what will determine, how well this video went. Now, Manchester City, rating Manchester City's transfer window out of 10. Wow. Manchester City. Manchester City have many problems. I don't know whether it's Pep Guardiola or the transfers are the problem. Because Man City went into the January transfer window. Rodri is injured. Rodri is the problem. Rodri this and that. They got Nico Gonzalez. They got players to fill in those positions, basically. Mamouche to bring in goals as well. Kusanov to bring in defensive security. And so on and so forth. With this January transfer window too, I'm thinking, is this thing a player problem or a manager problem? A tactics problem? You have to question Pep Guardiola. Because this has been going on for long. These players have come and gone. They signed Nico Gonzalez in January. Has gone on loan to Atletico in September. You get me? So these questions have to be asked. In terms of addressing their squad issues, Manchester City's main issue was defensive issues. From defensive midfield to their backline to their goalkeeper, it was poor. Is it that Pep Guardiola cannot coach a defense? That's the question. Now, in this transfer window, Manchester City had 4 main issues, I think, Seth. They needed a goalkeeper, Donnarumma. Now, I'm seeing many people being kind of negative about this one, but for me, it's a very good signing. James Trafford, also a good signing. They called him back from, I think he was at loan. He was on loan at Burnley. Or did they sign him? They signed him from Burnley. They bought him from Burnley, but they bought him back from Burnley for 31 million euros, which I think on up until that game, that Tottenham game that he had, he was actually looked at as a very good signing, and he can still be a very good signing. That might have just been a shaky game. Donnarumma, the only problem with Donnarumma is Pep Guardiola builds from the goalkeeper, and Donnarumma in terms of ball playing is poor. Like that's not his forte at all. So the question is, okay, why did they go for Donnarumma when he's kind of anti-Pep Guardiola in terms of building the ball forward? But my argument to this is this. Pep Guardiola had that in Ederson last season, and it looked like Pep Guardiola was fed up with it. He just wanted a goalkeeper that is a goated ball saver, which Donnarumma is. Very, very good at ball saving. So for me, I think Donnarumma coming in to solve their goalkeeping issues, very good signing. He has the mentality. He has won a quadruple. So very, very good signing in that aspect. They needed a right back. They failed. That Nunes, Rico Lewis at right back, he can't cut it. They have shown that they are not good enough. Nunes is a midfielder. Rico Lewis too is a midfielder safe. It's Pep Guardiola that is forcing them to play there. You might end up seeing John Stones at right back at this point. I think John Stones was playing at right back when they won that treble now. Yes, now. It was backline of Akanji was there, right? Or was it Walker? I don't know, Sha. John Stones was not playing as a centre back. You understand? Pep Guardiola was doing his crazy stuff. So Walker is past his best, so he had to leave. There's this other guy that can play. Akanji has gone too. So Pep Guardiola has really trimmed his squad. So, but they didn't address the right back issues at all. They got AIT, that's Ignori, for left back position, which I don't think was as big an issue as right back because Josko Gvardiol was doing well. I don't think it was as big an issue as this left back. And there was this boy, O'Reilly. At left back, he was doing well as well. So this right back was a bigger issue and they didn't even address it at all. But for the left back, they did well. And centre backs, I think they kept relying on their January signings as centre back, which is not actually good. And that's bad, actually. That's very, very bad. Manchester City did not get a centre back. They didn't sign a centre back. Wow. It's bad. Wow. Man City didn't sign a centre back. This is really, really bad. They failed in that aspect. Now, they did a KDB replacement too. Kevin De Bruyne is irreplaceable. Manchester City cannot replace him. Just like when Mo Salah will leave Liverpool, or when Virgil van Dijk will leave Liverpool, or when Alisson will leave. I don't think you can replace this kind of players directly. It has to be a combination of players to come together and replace him. That's why Liverpool have signed Ekitike, Isak. They will still sign more players to bring in as many goals as consistently as Mohamed Salah, who will guarantee you like 30 to 35 goals in all competitions per season. People don't know how insane that is. A winger guaranteeing you those goals. Just like Kevin De Bruyne now. Nobody can replace Kevin De Bruyne. But their attempt in doing that was they got Gianni Reinders, who was the best midfielder in Serie A last season, in my opinion. They got Ryan Cherky also, who's one of the most promising talents for just 36 million euros. So I think that was a combination of players to try and replace Kevin De Bruyne. Obviously, Foden is still there. We don't know how good Foden is anymore. Foden has become this and that. It has really become confusing with Phil Foden. So Man City, in terms of replacing KDB, but I've seen how good Cherky can be and how good Renders can be, especially in that game versus Wolves. So they did decently well, but I mean, Kevin De Bruyne is irreplaceable. And Rodri is still a doubt. And now that Nico Gonzalez has gone, Rodri has even come out and said, I'm not Messi. I am not Lionel Messi. So if you're expecting me to come into this team and solve all the defensive issues, solve all the attack, because everybody's behaving like Rodri is Jesus. He's coming to save the world. Rodri is going to, once Rodri comes, the Man City will not have any. No. It's impossible. He has said it with his mouth, I'm not Messi. It's only Messi that can do that kind of thing. So in that aspect, we have to still look at Pep Guardiola now and say, Oga, you have to coach this team to win. They have invested in you in January and in the summer now. So in terms of addressing their squad issues, they didn't address their right back issue. They didn't sign another centre back to strengthen their defense. Honestly, for me, I'll give you Man City a 7 out. 7 is not high. Honestly, these defensive issues are really bad, and they have really still shown this season, losing to Brighton and Tottenham back to back. 6 out of 10, honestly. I think they should have signed a centre back. If they signed a centre back and a right back, I would have given them an 8 out of 10. Now, value for money spent. They signed Reinders for 55 million euros, a very good deal. Aitnuri for 36 million euros, good deal. Cherky for 36 million euros in this crazy market. Amazing deal. I know I used to troll Cherky, but it's an incredible signing. 31 million euros for Trafford, 30 million euros for Donnarumma, insane. And 15 million euros for one Naypan. I don't know who this is. They'll probably send him out or no. So in this aspect for value for money spent, I'll give Man City a 9 out of 10, honestly. They closed some crazy deals. I mean, look at the price of Cherky, Reinders. Crazy. And these two goalkeepers. Crazy, I mean. And then their net spend, that's how much they got from player sales. They sold Marketing to Nottingham Forest for 25 million euros. They sold Jan Kuto to Borussia Dortmund for 20 million euros. They sold one Peroni that I'm sure I never even played for this club. They would just Man City, just be doing some. They got 30 million euros for him. They sold Ederson for 11 million euros, and they got a loan fee of 1 million euros for Akanji. All other players left on the free. That's Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, and Kyle Walker. Also, I don't know, is Kyle Walker on loan or do you go on a free transfer? Oh, I don't even know. So in terms of value for money, I mean, how much they actually raised from player sales? A 7 out of 10 too. They didn't have much players to sell. Most of their players, their contracts finished, so they actually did well to get money for some of these players. So Manchester City, in terms of addressing squad issues, I give them a 6. In terms of value for money spent, honestly, I think I give them a 10, right? Was it a 9 or a 10? For their transfers they completed, I'll give them a 10, honestly. And for net spend, they didn't have much players to sell, but I see that as a 7 divided by 3. So Manchester City is 7.6, but this is your transfer window. It's not looking like a 7.6 in my aspect. In my eye, it's too high. Collect 6. 6 out of 10 for Man City. You understand? Until I see how they solve their defensive issues, then it can go up to a 7. Collect 6. And finally, because we're only doing big 6 teams, Tottenham. We'll quickly run through Tottenham. Rating Tottenham's transfer window out of 10. I think this is the most underrated transfer window currently in terms of big clubs. Tottenham, first of all, apart from the players even signed, they signed their most important signing, replacing Ange Postecoglou. And they got, for me, a perfect replacement in Thomas Frank from Brentford. That was their first amazing signing from Tottenham. From there, you can build on any other signing. Now, let's look into the signings that Manchester City got in terms of addressing squad issues. Tottenham got in terms of addressing squad issues. Their defense, oh my God, their defense was horrible. I know that Ange being stubborn and playing a high line also played a big factor and contributed to that, but honestly, their defense was horrible last season. So in terms of defense, they signed only Danso, who was basically on loan last season, so you cannot even really count that as a, defensive signing. But in terms of defensive midfield, they brought in Paulinho on loan from Bayern Munich for 5 million euros, which I think is a very, very good deal. And that is all for their defense. And they did well. They did decently well. Striking competition. They needed competitions for their striker, and they brought in, for me, their best possible option, Randall Kolomwani. I know some of you might call me crazy, but getting Kolomwani on a loan deal with no obligations to buy, just 12 months, hold this player, pay his salary, that is all. Very, very good deal. You have a 26-year-old experienced striker. I know that, yes, that miss versus Emi Martinez, or that Emi Martinez save, or whatever you want to call it, in the World Cup final has forever tainted his reputation. But this is a very, very good player, an amazing player. I think they did well in that aspect. They needed a replacement for Son. And as always, Son in his prime, another irreplaceable player. Xavi Simons came in, Mohamed Kudus came in. This tell that they signed for Bayern Munich is looking like a waste of money because you're not winning their Champions League squad this night. And that is all. So I think in that aspect, they did very well. So in addressing squad issues, I'm giving Tottenham an 8 out of 10, honestly. They did very well. Mohamed Kudus is a player I love. Like, he's a player that I think will do so well, and they have looked great so far. I know that they lost to Bournemouth, but, they still have 6 points out of 9. So I'm giving them a 6 out of 10. In terms of now, net spend, you understand? That is how much they got for player sales versus this thing. What is this nonsense now? Get out of here. Ah, sorry, pardon me a second. Ah, back to what I was saying. Value for money spent. Javi Simons for 65 million euros. A good deal. A good deal. He's one of the best young talents in the world. And Mohamed Kudus for 63 million euros. For me, you know how much I rate Kudus, and I think it's a bargain. I even think it's still a bargain. Matis Tel for 35 million euros. A decent deal too. No, waste of money. I might be proving wrong, Sha. Danso, 25 million euros. And Palia on loan and some other random players. So, in terms of value for money spent, 8 out of 10. Net spent, too. How much they got from player sales? They didn't do well. How did they get 22 million euros for Heung-min Son? They paid for Son. Oh, 7 out of 10 then in this aspect. So, that is 8 plus value for money spent. How much did I give them here? 8 too, ba. And net spend, let's 6. Okay, Tottenham, your transfer window, I rated 7 out of 10. Yeah, you deserve that. So yeah, this is me rating all the clubs' transfer window. Let me tell you something funny that might happen. I'm going to post this video together as one. And depending on how it does, I might still break it into segments and post for each club. So let's see how it goes, Sha. But yeah, this is my rating for every Premier League club's transfer window, Big 6 edition. And I want to thank you guys for watching it. If you watched this video up to this point, you're an absolute legend, though. You watch up to here, you love me. And if you watched it up to this point, like you watched up to this point, my signing of the transfer window is Alexander Isak. So comment Isak in the comment section. No matter who you support, it doesn't matter. Just comment Isak now so that I'll know how many people watch up to, like, this should be 40 minutes or 45 minutes. And it's absolutely insane that some of you watch me up to now. So I love you guys and I thank you for your support. Please make sure you shop at the Adikas Steak Store. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let's see how these signings, football is not played on paper. Football is not played on iPad. Football is played on the pitch. And these signings with all the fancy names, with all the big money and everything, it might be the ones I don't rate that will come and shock you. So I might still be proven wrong. I'll probably be proven wrong. And at the end of the season, we'll react to this video. Sorry. I'm tired of talking. I'm not tired of talking. I love talking to you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. That's why if you like the video, subscribe and share. Let's push to 50k subs. And thank you guys for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it if you got to this point. And make sure you comment Isak. I want to actually know how many people got to this point in this video. Don't say anything good. Just write Isak so that those that didn't watch, you don't know what I'm talking about. So I appreciate you guys so much. And let's see how the transfer window goes. Sorry, let's see how the season goes. Let's see how these signings perform. Let's see how your club will perform with these new signings. And I'm most excited, obviously, to watch Liverpool Football Club. I think the whole world wants to see how these signings will do at Liverpool. I appreciate you guys. Adikas 6 is out. Peace out.